Hi, everyone. It's Mike here again, and it is great to share with you a preview of our latest Moonshots Master series. This series is where we collect all the wisdom that we've learned from over 140 plus shows. And what we do is we study a particular topic and we bring all the best clips and practices together so you get your own little masterclass. And what you'll get in each of the Moonshots Master series is a show dedicated to your personal transformation, or perhaps to problem solving, decision making, thinking better, all that kind of good stuff. Or lastly, it will be about leadership. Those are the three big buckets that all the Moonshots thinking fits into: personal transformation, thinking better, and leadership. That's right. And we pick all of those great clips from superstars, entrepreneurs, and authors and wrap it all up together. Now, you're only getting a preview of this. If you'd like to listen to the full show, get all the tools and all the goodies that comes with the Moonshots Master Series, visit moonshots.io, click on the members area, and sign up. Be our patron. It's only $1 a week, and you'll get a complete masterclass just for you every single month. So head over to moonshots.io and become a member. But for now, enjoy the show. And welcome to the Moonshots Master Series. It's episode number 5. I'm your co-host, Mike Parsons, and as always, I'm joined by Mark Pearson-Freeland. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mike. It is a sunny, it's somewhat sunny day in springtime Sydney, and it's the perfect day for you and I, our members and our subscribers, to dig into a brand new topic, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And this one, Mark, I may be guilty of this. I always say, this one is so moonshots. But, Mark, I'm going to say it. This one, it's pretty moonshots, isn't it?
Yeah, as we'll find out as we go through today's show full of lessons, tips, tricks, and hacks. It's really spot on with a lot of the lessons that you and I, as well as our listeners and members, are learning from these individuals out in the world. So as a quick reminder, Mike, where have we been so far on the Master Series? Well, we've covered motivation. That was a big show. We covered first principles. We covered collaboration and teamwork. And last time we dug into habits and how those small little things have huge, big results for you and I. And today we're digging into something that kind of encompasses a lot of our lives. And it's all about the circle of influence.
And this is authored by none other than Stephen Covey, who is by far one of the most popular superstars that we cover on Moonshots. He is a timeless classics, author. His work just keeps on working. And it is such a delight to dig into this circle of influence, which many other authors and experts and moonshotters have expanded upon. So we have a bevy of ideas, not only to inspire you, but to get into the science of how this circle of influence works, but also how you can make it part of your daily routine. That's all ahead of you on today's Moonshot Master Series. And Mark, I'm thinking that this idea of circle of influence is so powerful because it's really, simply said, it's all about focusing on what you control and stop worrying about stuff that you don't control. I mean, such a common mantra, such good advice, such worldly wisdom. Yet I think that it is more relevant now than ever. This idea of circle of influence will help anybody who's trying to be the best version of themselves by routing their energy, by diverting their energy towards where they're going to get the greatest return. And that's always going to be what you control. And I think this idea is super powerful. We have Stephen Covey to thank for kind of framing this in a modern context. I think you might find there's some ancient philosophers that touched upon the same topic as well. But Mark, we've got so much ahead of us for this show.
We do. And as we're going to dig into, it's all about, like you say, control of those reactions, your mindset, your emotions, your distractions ultimately, and understanding how we can rethink our reaction to those sort of things and therefore frame and work upon the things that we do control in order to be, healthier, happier, more productive, more efficient. There's so much benefit to being able to really fully control and grasp this concept of the circle of influence. But at the same time, it is a bit of a challenge, isn't it, Mike? Because it's so easy for all of us to, somewhat be distracted by things that ultimately we can't control.
Exactly. And what you're going to hear later in the show is not only the science behind how to understand these circles of influence, but we're also going to get into how you can make it part of your daily routine, how you can adopt this as a habit, because it's super powerful. And it's really about this idea of diverting and focusing your energy on things that will give you the greatest return, that will help you be the best version of yourself, for you to go out and have impact in your family, in your work, in your community, wherever you are really focused. This idea, a circle of influence, is incredibly powerful. So I think, Mark, before we jump into part one, we should remind all of our listeners that, hey, this is a master class. So we're going to go for 90 minutes, 3 big chapters. At any point, you should pause, go back, because this is big. This is really going to be a complete body of work. The next suggestion, I think, Mark, is we definitely recommend using the transcript. So you can actually kind of make notes. We actually got a note from a listener just this week who said how much they love using the transcripts as a way of sort of almost notating and marking up certain topics that we talk about. What else would you recommend for anybody who's listening to this show, knowing that it's a masterclass? How should they sort of get the most out of it? How do they get the most juice out of the fruit?
Well, over at moonshots.io, not only do we have access to all of our weekly shows, as well as transcripts for all 154 episodes, 154, I should say, Mike, episodes.
Holy smokes, Mark, you just discounted us for 10 shows. Come on.
I know. We've got all those show notes for our master series. We have reading recommendations. We have frameworks, most importantly. So as you're sitting there, you're listening to us talk and learn together, you can hit pause, you can reflect and look at the frameworks that Mike and I will be digging into on not only today's episode, but all of our Master Series episodes. You can download them, you can make them your screensaver or your background, and most importantly, you can refer to them when you need. So we have a bevy, a library, a plethora of information and resources over at moonshots.io that you can go and access at any time of the day and really maximize the hour and a half that you give to each of these Master Series episodes in order to learn and in order to adopt and understand and also be inspired by each of these topics that we dig into.
Sounds great. And before we launch into the first clip, this show is obviously for our members. You can become a member at moonshots.io. Click on the members section. Mark, why don't we do a quick shout out to all of our members who support us to make this show possible?
That's right. Drum roll for all of our members over at Patreon. We have Marjan, Yaniv, Helena and Mark, Byron, Tom, Dietmar, Ken, Marjolin and Sandy, Niall and Bridie, Terry, John, Nils and Bob. Guys, welcome once again and thank you for your continued support, attention and involvement, not only in the Master Series, but also in the Moonshots family.
Sounds great. And with no further ado, Mark, we should jump into the first part of our deep dive into the circle of influence. Where do you want us to begin?
That's right. We're going to start the show with really getting you and I and our listeners and our members inspired around the circle of influence and the benefits that can have before, Mike, you and I do a deep dive into fully understanding and grasping it. So what better way to kick off the show today than really fist pumping, get ourselves out of our seat. If anybody's listening to this as they run, I hope this gives you an extra speed in your step. We're going to hear from a mixed collection of individuals really inspiring us about controlling our life. And this first clip helps you and I and our listeners remember to get the losers out of our life.
It's really hard to be truly happy when you're not being yourself. And most of us have no clue who we are.
We all have situations that don't look like they're going to work out. We don't see how we can get well, how we can accomplish a dream, how our family will be restored. All the circumstances say it's not going to happen.
How much of life do you feel like you control, or how much does life control you? Do you tend to control more of what's going on, or events controlling you? If you focus on what you can't control, if you focus on the past, if you focus on what's missing from your life constantly, that pattern of focus will make you frustrated, overwhelmed, depressed. It won't even matter if you're, taking antidepressants. If you keep focusing on what you can't control, what's missing from your life, you're going to feel depressed still. You can take as many antidepressants as you want. Focus equals power.
Complaining, crying, whining, griping, a Bible word called murmuring. See, that'll ace your future. Spend 5 minutes complaining and you have wasted 5. And you may have begun what's known as economic cancer of the bone. Surely they will soon haul you off into a financial desert and there let you choke on the dust of your own regret.
And not only is it important for you to know it's possible for you to choose your future, but it's necessary that you work on yourself, that you develop yourself. It's necessary that you get the energy drainers out of your life, people who don't want anything, people who are not striving, people who are not challenging themselves, people who aren't growing, people who have stopped dreaming. It's necessary that you align yourself with people and attract people into your business who are hungry, people who are unstoppable and unreasonable, people who are refusing to leave life just as it is and who want more. My mother used to say, birds of a feather flock together. If you run around with losers, you will end up a loser. It's necessary that you get the losers out of your life if you want to live your dream.
Well, Mark, I don't think we could bring any more adrenaline to this masterclass. Hopefully that'll sustain us for the next 90 minutes. Love hearing Anthony Robbins, Martin Luther King, and all the other recognizable voices there. I think the point here is something that if we want to talk about circle of influence, not only was that inspiring, but it's insanely practical, this idea of getting losers out of your life. There's this common saying that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's right. We've dug into that possibly when we were doing the breakdown into the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which members you can go and listen to on moonshots.io, as well as your podcasting app of choice. Those were episodes 121 and 122. Mike, we actually had to break down Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People because it was so full of good stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so we also, big tip of the hat to him, as Circle of Influence is one of the chapters in his book. The other thing here is, Mark, just to get a little tangential, this idea of getting losers out of your life, which sort of sets the context for Circle of Influence. We see this also practically in life, where there was a great saying that you can tell a man by his library.
That's
so
right.
You are what you read. You are what you think. So what's so beautiful about all of this thinking is there is a big story of empowerment here. You can choose to read the books you want to read. You can choose to watch the shows that you want to watch. These are all your choices, and these are all beautifully within your circle of influence. So what a great way to start the show. But I think I need just an extra pump up. And I tell you what, Mark, there's a guy that can give that. His name is William H. McRaven. He celebrated, he implored us to make our bed and to start the day well, which you and I, we both kind of love that one, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. This next clip, as we've really focused in that initial clip on understanding that focus is power and control is something that we all have reaction as well as influence over. William H. McRaven, episode 87, that we dug into with Make Your Bed. You can go and listen to that again on your favorite podcast app of choice or moonshots.io. This next clip, Mike, again, it's totally connected to this idea of control, and it's building upon that first clip by reminding you and I and our listeners about controlling our reactions. So here's William H. McRaven reminding us to start singing when you're up to the neck in mud.